We've talked about this TV show before. We've talked about this guy before, for good and bad.
Dueling Decades.
So I pick up a point heading into our first 2-point round, and I take control of the board. You know what? Let's go over to the hot products round. All right. So for my hot product, we're going to hop across the pond, and we're going to spend 14.5 pounds, which is the equivalent of 57 American dollars today, on some concert tickets to a show I'm sure everybody has either seen clips of or has seen this show in its entirety, as it's been released on CD, DVD, shown on television. It was even immortalized on the silver screen in 2018 in a film. So let's have a spot of tea, take our seats for a lineup that consisted of In Excess, The Alarm, Status Quo, and Queen, live at Wembley, Saturday, July 12th, 1986. Now, last week I talked about the final U.S. tour for Jimi Hendrix. Well, in July of 1986, Queen was in the midst of their Magic Tour, which would end up being the final tour with Freddie Mercury and bassist John Deacon. So when you think of all-time great iconic concerts, this is one that always comes up. It's Freddie in the yellow jacket. We've all seen it. So the British press at the time, not so favorable, much like how they treated Jimmy at the time. So an article in The Guardian said that exactly a year ago, Queen's set at Live Aid was among some of the best received music of the day. They played for 20 minutes. The show, which Queen are currently hauling around Europe, goes under the banner of the Magic Tour. It lasts 2 hours, and it's like falling up to your knees in quick-drying cement. It seems like an unshakable argument for the restoration of the old 60s package tours. That's where you would have like 12 or 13 artists all playing only like 2 or 3 songs apiece. So although they continue to knock out the occasional memorable single, Queen live, Queen is a compilation of stodgy English pop rockisms magnified and choreographed with a ritualistic thoroughness worthy of Nuremberg. So that's pretty strong word.
That's rough.
Yeah. They come from a place where things like hip hop, reggae, and even punk never even happened. The article went on to knock Freddie's showmanship and how the iconic call and response session he had with the crowd, they knocked that, saying it was inaudible and stupid. But, you know, just like they knocked Jimmy, Freddie was still at the peak of his game, and the fans loved him. They packed the event in that tour. So I give you the iconic show. It's Queen live at Wembley, July 12th, 1986.
Too bad it wasn't live at Live Aid, 1985.
Yeah, see, I like the Wembley show better.
Do you really?
I do. I like Wembley better. There's more showmanship, more pomp, circumstance. It's bigger Queen, way bigger set.
Wait, so I missed the beginning of that. So they played for 20 minutes? They played for 2 hours?
No. In the article, he was talking about how Queen at Live Aid played for 20 minutes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Their current tour is 2 hours, and he was complaining that it's too long.
Come on.
Yeah. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Throwing the bullshit flag on that one.
Critics.
Yep. All right, Mancrush. What did you bring for the hot products round?
All right, so let's go July 28th of 1976. And we've talked about this TV show before. We've talked about this guy before, for good and bad. And as I spoke about last month, this show was nearly on its deathbed at the end of the 1975 season after it finished 49th in the ratings, which is pretty damn low considering there was only 3 channels at the time in 1976. But once again, it took the TV boy wonder, Fred Silverman, to turn the show around and make this into a staple of American television. By the end of 1976, by the end of that season, the show, it skyrocketed from number 49 all the way to number 11 in the ratings. And by the next fall, they would cement themselves as the top rated show on television. But aside from Silverman, this show was saved by Arthur Fonzarelli. Right after season 3 ended in March of 1976, people just could not get enough of the Fonz. And I'm going to give you a little piece of an article that I found where they're talking about some merchandise here. So according to Allison Manufacturing Company, who had sold more than a million Fonzie t-shirts since the craze mushroomed in March. Of course, we're talking about March of 1976. Fonzie items are the single biggest item they have ever sold, especially within a 4-month period. Sales have surpassed merchandise, which displays Batman, Davy Crockett, which I get. Apparently I had to look this up. This was like the biggest thing of the 50s, but blew past whatever they did with Davy Crockett and hosts of baseball players who were going on in the 70s. And they said like a typical like fad-based marketing of like a well-known face typically has a life expectancy of about 4 months. However, the Fonzie stuff, it's creeping into its 6th month of cultdom. And this is part of the article right here. It says, in spite of that success, numerous Fonzie items have been released this month to wild success. Fonzie jewelry, a Fonzie guitar, and now a Fonzie 10-inch replica doll by Mego International. This is funny. Coincidentally, so this was also a contract year for actor Henry Winkler. So Winkler's character Fonzie, from the first season to now, is now worth 3 times what he was worth since the beginning of the show started. In spite of that overnight stardom, Winkler ends up signing a new contract with ABC, going from $8,000 an episode, of course, is 1976, to $20,000 per episode, which, again, this is like a drop in the bucket to Paramount, who has made a hefty 8-figure sum in the last 4 months alone, just on the likeness of his character. That doesn't mean like they didn't create any of these products. They didn't do shit. They just said, hey, we'll license this to you. You make whatever you want and we'll take 5-10% of it. And they made a shit ton of money in 4 months. So I give you the hottest product of July of 1976, probably for the entire year of 1976. And that's Fonzie. We have this is all the stuff that I found in newspapers from that month. Shirts, hats, necklaces, buttons, pillowcases, knee socks, panties, thermoses, paint by the numbers, bean bags, jeans, guitars, dolls, bomber jackets, and posters. Anything with Fonzie on it, if you buy it, you're the coolest kid on your block. So, hey.
Do they have the Fonzie bike that I picked in a previous episode where the ad said, hey, sit on it?
Yeah, they probably did. Like, dude, some of these places were running out of stock on Fonzie merchandise. So if you went into the classified section, which I like to do sometimes on hot products, because you know if something's really a hot product, if somebody was reselling it in the classified. So I'll go over to the classifieds and I'll see like if anything's popped up a few times. Dude, there was like Fonzie jewelry. That's where I found the Fonzie panties. Who was buying Fonzie panties? But apparently somebody was.
Potsy.
He's wearing them on his head.
That's yeah.
Wow.
Hey.
Yeah.
All right, Trevor, what did you bring for the hot products round?
Okay, well, how do I follow up Fonzie panties? Okay, this product was first announced in July 1996, and the co-founder Steve Perlman is credited with the idea for the device. He first combined computer and television as a high school student when he decided his home PC needed a graphics display. So, excuse me. He went on to build software for companies such as Apple and Atari. While working at General Magic, the idea of bringing TVs and computers together resurfaced. One night, Perlman was browsing the web and came across a Campbell's Soup website with recipes. He thought that the people who might be interested in what the site had to offer were not using the web. It occurred to him that if television audience was enabled by a device to augment television viewing with receiving information or commercial offers through the television, then perhaps the web address could act as a signal and the television cable could be the conduit. So this kind of was the godfather of kind of what we see today with like smart televisions and, using our phones and having the internet basically everywhere we need it to be. So This thing wasn't the hugest hit. It only lasted until September 2013. It later was absorbed into MSN TV. But yeah, my hot product for July 1996 is the introduction of web TV.
That's right. Papa Mancrush was all over web TV. That's how we got online.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
All right, let's toss it over to our judge, Tom Higgenson, for his ruling on the hot products round.
Okay. Well, I mean, again, Trevor, I'm sorry. The web TV, I don't think is quite. Yeah. Yeah. I don't blame you. On this one, though, I don't feel as bad because, I mean, we're dealing with the Fonz and Queen. You know, how can you really compete with that? And honestly, I kind of feel I'm going to go just because on a technicality, although as soon as you were talking about one of the most, biggest concerts of all time, I immediately thought Queen at Wembley. That's like, I own the DVD upstairs, like that's just one of those iconic moments in music history, live music history. But I don't know, a ticket to the concert, I know it's kind of a product, but I don't know. I for some reason I'm drawn to the Fonz merch. It's just an interesting, and I love the idea again of like, I didn't realize that Happy Days was kind of like tanking.
Yeah,
and like
terrible. It was terrible first season.
And then your TV freaking, I don't know, Golden Boy was it? What did he?
Fred Silverman.
What is it? Just a matter of finding the right time slot for these shows?
Yeah, for that one, because that was already on ABC while he was at CBS. As a matter of fact, he had Good Times on at CBS at the time that was head to head with Happy Days, and it was killing Happy Days. So when he got over to ABC, he was like, no, let's move it. So he swapped everything around, and I'm just picturing this is the 70s, 1975 or 76. He probably had like these billboards on the wall where he's just sliding in names.
Yeah, totally.
Like, nah, we're gonna put this here, we're gonna do this, and dude just knew what he was doing. And then, like, again, if you missed that episode, I think it was like a month ago, because it was I had June of 1975 at the time, and I go all over all of the shows. Even when this dude was at CBS, this guy had MASH, like he killed it at CBS. And then he goes to ABC and he kills it again. And then he goes to NBC in the 80s and just doesn't kill it. But he had a good run. He had a kick-ass run for a while.
It's awesome. It reminds me of creating the set list for like a live show.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Play, but it's like, okay, what should we open with? What's going to go good after that? You try to think of the flow of the audience. So I know it's totally not the same, but it kind of is probably a similar thing where we've got all these shows. What's that like perfect order so that people will continue to watch? Or
I think about that all the time. Like how much, like from show to show, do you look at one show and you go, that didn't quite work out, let's switch this one and this one? Or do you just say, this is what we're doing for the tour, we're going to carry it over, maybe we'll switch the end or something?
Well, I mean, that's kind of a funny question, because for me, I'm Mr. Optimistic. Like I put a lot of thought into that stuff. So it's like, okay, when we finally have, this is the set, we're going with this. And then we'll play a show or two. And then like Damar, our drummer, will be like, I don't know, that one felt weird right there. Like, I feel like people, and then it's like, son of a bitch, so now I got to go reevaluate it and change some stuff around, even though I'm like, no, that was awesome. But like, well, all right, let's try some stuff, and it kind of keeps it fun, honestly, to change some stuff around and, mix it up a little bit.
You just went to your drummer and said, you do the editing, and walked away.
Yeah,
exactly. See, now that I've got that quote, it's all totally different game from here on out. For sure.
I always wondered about that though, for real. I always thought, when I was younger, I thought that it was like whatever came to your mind. Like, this is how stupid I was when I was young. I was like, yeah, they just go to the show And then they play a song and they turn around to everybody else, because I think I probably got it from movies, which I got everything from. And I went, oh yeah, we're doing this one. And everyone was like, yeah, we're going to do that one. And they play it. How
Totally.
often does that actually happen, or never?
I mean, once in a blue moon, there'll be some request, or somebody will be, requesting some song that's not on the set list. And we but it's never like all right, guys, we're doing this one, let's go. And we just all play it. There's never that moment. It's always like wait, do we know that one? Should we try it? I don't know. I don't remember the solo, whatever. But if you guys have ever been to a Bruce Springsteen show, that is like literally like people will hold up signs and he'll be like, all right, we're doing that song. And the whole band, like, he's the boss. So they've got to like know everything and be super tight. And they just roll. And it's like and then not only do they just kind of roll on like song requests, but then they'll also just like jam the songs out for like 5 minutes longer. The song should be ending, but they're just like having fun jamming and throwing solos in and stuff. It's a pretty cool experience. So
Absolutely.
yeah, we need to include some of that spontaneity that the boss brings for sure.
That's why he's the boss.